Welcome to the WorkJoy Jam podcast. I'm your host, Beth Stallwood. And in this episode, my guest is the wonderful Ella-Louise Woodhouse, who runs Elevate Entertainment, an amazing agency that helps organisations and people who are getting married and all kinds of different people to find amazing acts to perform at their events. In this episode, we talk about that journey from being an employee, doing a corporate job in customer service world, to almost by accident creating Elevate Entertainment many, many years ago, and through building that business through amazing relationships. And we also talk about the challenges of lockdown, and many people in the events, the entertainment, the hospitality, catering industries will have felt this shock of everything stopping and being cancelled, and then thinking about how do you do the pivot? How do you take that business and do something with it when you're no longer able to do it in the way that it was done before? And move it online and create new and different experiences for clients, and be able to take some of that now and go back to the old ways, but also incorporate the new ways. We also talk about Ella's personal journey of development and growth, and thinking about her as a coach and things like NLP and her training, and how that's really helped her to develop her other business, which is work in progress, and developing her coaching business as well as her entertainment business. So one person, two brilliant businesses, and lots of great thinking here, lots of tips and things that she's learned along the way, from feeling burnt out to feeling more in control, the little things that you can do every day, getting perspective, stopping, having that review of where you're at, and thinking about the lessons that you learn along the way. So this is with Ella-Louise Woodhouse, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to the WorkJoy Jam. I am so excited to be joined by Ella Woodhouse today. And rather than me introduce her, I'm going to hand over to Ella to introduce herself. But I am very excited about this conversation. So Ella, will you tell everyone a little bit about you, what you do, and maybe a little bit about how you got to doing what you do now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited too, Beth. This is my first podcast. It's so lovely to be guided on this by you and being your capable and loving hands. Yeah, so so what do I do? I do a couple of things actually. Predominantly, I run Elevate Entertainment, and that is an entertainment business that we work mostly in corporate and festivals and private events and weddings. And that started from 14/15 years ago, me setting up a vocal trio called the Polka Dots, which is a swing and rockabilly 50s close part harmony trio. And when we started, we thought, oh, we might do the odd 80th birthday bash. That would be nice. And it kind of grew and grew. And as we worked the circuit, we worked with other awesome acts. And then I grew an agency from it. And so, yeah, and I ended up leaving my corporate job that I was doing. I was working customer services, traveling all over the country, working silly hours, and then made the leap to full time. I still work silly hours, but at least it's on my terms now. So that's me. And then during lockdown, when the events industry was, of course, decimated, I joined something called Time to Thrive, which was run by dear friends of mine now. It's really funny, isn't it? I always find that in life people sort of cross your path for reasons. And there was this amazing NLP coach called Jess Reed Robbins, and hers and my path kind of crossed a few different times in the past. And when it came to lockdown, she and her husband Nick were doing this thing called Time to Thrive, and it was all to do with neurolinguistic programming, helping people like release all the kind of unhelpful emotions they were feeling around lockdown and COVID and that whole time when we didn't know whether we were coming or going, and just reframe things and just help people manage it all better. Because of course people were in all kinds of different situations. Some were furloughed, some had lost all their work, some were working throughout, but our emotional buckets that we have of that need to be full, most of our buckets were empty, weren't they? Because we didn't know what was going on in the world. We couldn't see our friends, and yeah, a lot of us felt out of control. So anyway, long story longer, I I did Time to Thrive with them, and it was amazing. And I did a foundation NLP course and learnt so much. And I also had some sessions with Jess, because we've actually been trying for a baby. We've got a 7-year-old, but we've been trying for another baby for about 5 years, and had a few miscarriages. So we had a last miscarriage at the beginning of lockdown, and I knew nothing physical was wrong. Just had some sessions with Jess, and in the first session with her, got to the root cause of me worrying about having two babies, my business baby and the baby that I wanted, and my subconscious mind didn't think I'd have both, so my body was making the choice for me. Anyway, having got to the root cause of that and let it go, within a couple of weeks we were pregnant with Milo, who's now coming up for 1.5.
Wow.
So I thought, I need to learn how to do this for other people, and I had all this time on my hands as well, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So I went and did the practitioner course, and I started coaching, and then I did my master prac at the end of last year. And yeah, so I'm an NLP coach as well. And at the moment, I don't have as much time to do it as I would like, but it'll come. Events is back with a bang. So this year is our busiest ever in events. So I feel very, very lucky that I get to do 2 amazing things that I absolutely love. But that's me, really, in a nutshell. So I've gone round about the houses there to introduce myself, but that's me.
And it's amazing. And doing 2 different things, 2 different business that you absolutely love is amazing. We're going to come on to talk more about both of them as we work through. But I'm going to start with, if it's okay with you, with the Elevate business, with the entertainment business. And I'm really fascinated by how you kind of go from setting up a little group, call you a little group, a trio. A trio, to it becoming an agency and events business, something where you're working with loads of other artists and bands and all of these things. And by the way, I also know how good all of Ella's people are. I'm going to say it out loud, because Ella found me the most wonderful band for my wedding 11 years ago, and I had them this year as well for my 40th birthday. And so they're amazing, and all of your stuff is brilliant. So having been a customer, I've experienced it from that side too. But I'm fascinated about how you go from a singing group where you thought you might do a few gigs and you were kind of doing it for fun on the side, to leaving your corporate job, and I'd love to know more about what you were doing there, into doing this kind of as your main thing for a while. So can you go back and tell me the story of 14, 15 years ago when it started?
So I'll just try not to waffle, because I'm quite good at that.
Waffle away.
So I was doing the corporate job, and I was working for a company that does support services in hospitals. So support services like catering and cleaning and portering in hospitals and RAF bases and schools. So I was the customer services manager there. So I was traveling right from the top to the bottom of the country, going and engaging with service users, finding out what was working well, what wasn't, what we could do better. And then I was working with the operations team to improve the service. And I really enjoyed it. I really, really loved, because I'm all about relationships. I love meeting people. I love chatting. I love trying to help. So that was great doing that. But I was also I was set up the polka dot. So historically, I've sort of travelled to Mallorca and Crete and been an entertainer out there, and that was really, really good fun. And then when I came back, did some on the side, was sort of doing some choreography and stuff for shows, and was working on a show with a couple of friends, and we were doing some close part harmony in the show. It was Saucy Jack and the Space Vixens, which is a bit of a cult musical, but it's brilliant fun. And we're like, this is really awesome, this is good fun, we should do this more often. So just did a bit of research and saw the Andrews Sisters were a great close part harmony group, obviously probably the most famous one, and swing and jive was really in, and the whole vintage vibe. So we set up like that, and we really grew through doing gigs, word of mouth, having a great promo video that a friend of mine very kindly helped us out with. So as gigs got busier, and I was juggling the corporate job and doing the gigs, evenings and weekends, it came to the point where I had my daughter, and I think that was the point then when I had to make the leap. And it was a scary prospect of going from a decent salary in a full-time job and security to making the jump. But I know now that, of course, a lot of what held me back from doing it before was my own stuff and fear of failing and all of that. So I was very, very lucky that I was able to make the leap when I did. And it's the best thing I ever did. And I went from sort of having my daughter 6 months later, left my job, my corporate, and then just went with doing Elevate. It wasn't Elevate at the time, but that's another story. So doing agency stuff.
Yeah.
And it, like I say, just working with other acts and building relationships with people we worked with that were good, and building relationships with clients, and offering more than just like the polka dots. That was how it grew. And I remember, yeah, it was shortly after I left my full-time employment, and I was trying to manage being a new mum and the business and trying to grow that. And I was a wreck. I was just on the point of burnout. And I came across a lovely lady called Marina Pearson, and she was all about effortless living. And she talked to me, and I always remember one thing that she said to me that really, I don't know if, I'm sure lots of people listening will have been at the point where they're like, I just can't do this anymore. I can't take anything else on. And I remember Marina said to me, it was all about perception. And she said to me, does the sun rise? I said, of course it does. And then she just sat silent for a minute. And it was such a light bulb moment, because I went, oh no, the sun doesn't rise, does it? The sun stays exactly where it is. And she said to me, and that is perception. And I thought, oh my God, all of this, it's how I perceive my life. It's how I perceive the overwhelm. It's how I perceive everything that I've got to achieve. And it was such a turning point for me, because then working with Marina, I did a program, a effortless living program. I learned to let go of the things that weren't serving me and work more effortlessly. And what was really a huge turning point for me as well was to actually realize and feel safe in the knowledge that running your own business, you get to work with the people you want to work with.
Yeah.
So if it's not, and I know you are the expert in this, if it's not bringing you joy, don't do it. What are you doing it? So that was really amazing. And little things that I did to change my way of working and to just change the way I felt about everything. Something so simple like setting an autoresponder on my email to just say, thanks very much for your message. It's been received. I don't always work within normal working hours, so I'll come back to you within 24 hours. Just something so simple that really took such a load off me that I felt, okay, I'm managing people's expectations now. And all these sort of things helped the stress fall away. So yeah, from there, I was really much more conscious of working more in line with the life that I wanted. Don't always get it right, of course. But the aim is there, and it's something that I'm conscious about. So that was really awesome. Yeah. So that was basically how I built it up. And I feel in a really lovely place right now that I've got a great portfolio of artists that I know and trust. I only like recommending artists that I know and trust, because I think there's hundreds of agencies out there that you can trawl through their website and find acts that they've signed up, but they don't know them. I'd much rather have a small set of bands and cabaret artists that when clients come to me and say, right, this is a theme, this is the event, what can you give me that I feel secure in what I'm putting forward, are going to do a great job. And I've got a great set of clients too, and regular clients and people who get me and what my life's about. So yeah, life is good. Life is really good.
I love it. And it's so interesting. There's a couple of things I'm going to pick out, if it's all right, and kind of delve into, because I think the things that are blockers of joy in so many people's words is this feeling of burnout, this feeling of, I can't do anymore. I'm slogging. I'm slogging really hard, and I don't know if I can do it anymore. And you were slogging there with like a baby as well, which adds in even more slog on work and things that you're trying to do. And that idea of actually sometimes if you just reframe, like
Mm-hmm.
the different perception, reframe what it is you're looking at and what you want, and get that clarity on what it is you really want. And I think people who go and set up their own businesses, they do it for a reason. Like you've done, there's always a why as to
Yeah,
why you've done it. But it's so easy amongst the stuff and things of daily life and daily working life to lose the connection of why you've done it.
definitely. Yeah,
And
because you do become
yeah,
so reactive to everything, don't you?
yeah,
That you, like you say, you lose the purpose, you lose the why. And I remember certainly back when Aurora was small, and I look back and I think, well, I didn't really do a great job at any of it because I didn't really run the business to the best of my ability, and I wasn't the best mum that I could be either. So definitely taking time and being kinder to yourself and having boundaries as well helps
yeah,
you in all areas.
yeah, for sure. And I think this idea of, are are we putting on our businesses, or even if you're working for an employer, how much of the expectations we think others have of us are actually true? Because I
Mm-hmm.
reckon when you put that auto response on and said it might be, a day or two until I get back to you, I imagine nobody cared.
No, of course they don't.
Like
Not at
when
all.
I say to clients, it's going to be about a week before I can get back to you, they're always like, yeah, that's fine. And if it's not, they'll say, oh, actually, it's urgent. And then you can
Yeah,
like re-look at it.
yeah,
But so much of, I think, the things that we think have to be done now, the things we think we have to be on it, we have to respond to emails, etc. It's in our own heads.
yeah. Yeah, completely. It it absolutely is, and so we're our own worst enemies, really. And I think we just our need to. I mean, certainly with me, I thought I've got to respond to this email now, otherwise someone might get there first, or I might lose the business. Oh God, it caused so much anxiety all the time. Whereas now I feel a lot more confident that actually, if people want to work with you, they want to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. And they're also busy having their own lives and doing their own
yes,
work as well. That they're not, if you respond to them now, they might not get back to you for a few days because they're
yeah.
busy too.
Yep, yep, exactly. And it's just, yeah, and it goes around in circles then they can feel stressed as well. And so yeah, it's about,
Yeah.
like you say, managing people's expectations and also managing our own our own expectations, our need to succeed. And
Yeah.
there's something really interesting that I did with NLP. I looked at values, like what our values are, what drives every decision that we make. And it was the most
Mm.
fascinating exercise I think I've ever done on myself, because I thought, oh, yeah, absolutely. No, I strive to succeed. It's all about success with me. I want to succeed. When I actually looked at it, there's a big difference between striving towards succeeding and running away from failing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What are you running towards and what are you running away from? That's
Yeah,
a question I ask people all the time. So
yeah,
interesting.
isn't it? Because where is your focus? I realized that actually I wasn't focusing on succeeding. I wasn't looking ahead. I was so busy running away from failing from everything that my focus was
Mm.
actually on failing. And so this was another, again, huge, like, life-changing moment at the end of last year, where I thought, it's really hard not to swear on a podcast, isn't it?
If you need to swear, it's okay.
I
We tend to only have adults listening
I
to it.
just I just realised actually I swear quite a lot. You think, oh my goodness, my life, actually my values are so removed from actually where I thought I was. And yeah, that's another conversation. But yeah, so it's an interesting one there to look at, actually,
Yeah.
what am I focusing on, what am I working towards or running away from.
Yeah. And I always think it's important as well when you think about values is to look at, but are my behaviors aligned with my values?
Yeah,
Because if striving to succeed is one of my values, what do my behaviors look like?
yeah,
What does that mean in real life? Because it's really easy to have like this is one of my values and to say it, but to actually do it and live it 100% of the time is so hard, especially if you've got like your wiring slightly mixed up, like that
exactly.
version of,
Yeah,
I would say I strive to succeed, but if you're actually running away from failure, you're focusing on the wrong end of striving to
exactly,
succeed.
exactly. And I think that way, focusing on not failing, it leads to burnout so fast, because you're constantly stressing about letting people down.
Yeah.
That was my thing, is that I would, if I didn't respond to people straight away, if I couldn't, like, get back to them, then I would just feel like I was letting people down, and that is exhausting.
Yeah. And with doing that, I often think if we focus all of our attention on not letting people down, we let ourselves down.
Oh, completely. I was having a conversation yesterday with a friend actually, and she runs a successful entertainment business, and it was really it's funny, isn't it? You think you know stuff, and then something just off the cuff that a friend will say, you think, oh wow, light bulb moment. She said something as simple as at the end of I was talking to her about summer and just saying, once the kids are in bed, then I kind of carry on with work. And she said she shuts down her laptop and she puts it to bed. I'm like, oh my God. Because then mentally her brain goes, okay, yeah, it's nighttime now. Now it's time to relax. Whereas I don't ever actually shut down. I didn't ever shut down my laptop. I might have shut the lid, but it was always there for me to just open again if I need. Oh, I'm just going to do that email midnight. Just before I go to bed, I'm going to send that email. Of course, half an hour later, you're still there. So, yeah, these little gems, I think, are really good to implement just to help you be kind to yourself, say, and set your own boundaries.
Yeah, and I think that boundary question is that so important. And whether you're working for yourself or working in a business right now, with things like hybrid working, where everyone's trying to get this working from home and working in an office or not working in an office anymore, or it's all a bit different, is that I think that boundary between work and home life has been permanently dismantled from a structural perspective. So we have to kind of put that structure in ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to kind of go, okay, and that idea, put your laptop to bed, turn it off, have like a little ritual. Is there something that you do to signify to your mind that it's work time has finished and it's now lifetime if you're working from home? Because if you're not going to a different place, if you're not commuting or doing all that stuff,
yeah,
there's no transition, is there?
Exactly.
It's all there.
Yeah, and that is, I think, working for yourself. When you work at home or you've got an office on site or in your house or in the garden, whatever, it's really important to make that transition from work to home, isn't it? Because nowadays with smartphones and the fact that, like you said, people are working from home more, it's really easy. One of the many things that I love about working the way I do is I can pop the kettle on, I can put a load of washing on while the kettle's boiling, which is great. But also we need to make sure then that we can do that, but we are managing the amount of work that we take into our home life as well.
Yeah, it's there has to be some flexibility on both sides of it, but not so much that it erodes either thing.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It's hard because the structure doesn't exist. It's no longer, I'm in an office 9 to 5 and I forget about work. Nobody's been like that for a long time.
No.
And even more so now. So it's, little things like that, isn't it? It's such a good idea. Have an auto response so that people know that you care about them, but actually you're not going to necessarily get back to them that quickly. Have something on that says, shut down your laptop at the end of a working day so that your brain knows that that's done and you can go and focus on something else. And anything you can do that helps to put those flexible boundaries in that help you to be at the best you can be in both worlds.
Definitely. What do you do? Because you're obviously, again, you're the expert in this kind of thing.
I wouldn't say I'm the expert. I say I'm always discovering, and like I get to talk to people, and everyone gives me their tips because that's what the podcast is about. And I'm like, right, I'm going to try all of these.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I tend to go for a dog walk at the end of my working day.
Yes.
So I do a dog walk before I start work, and I tend to do a dog walk at the end of my work. So the dog walk tends to be my commute, if it were, when I'm working from home. And I'm also in the process of moving, hopefully, my office from inside the house to in my garage.
Oh, exciting!
Because at the moment it slightly is a bit too inside.
Yeah.
So I've worked out that having done this for 2.5 years from home, where I never really used to work from home at all before, I used to always be in clients' offices. And I'm still there occasionally, but it's definitely more from home, is that I personally need a little bit more separation now.
Yeah.
And I think it was fine when we were here and you couldn't see anybody and nobody was coming round and you couldn't do any of that stuff. But almost like normal life has gone back to normal, but work life hasn't transitioned in the same way back to how it used to be, which is great because I love it. But I also think I just need a little bit more separation, like physical separation.
Yeah.
So I want a room that I can shut off and not go in it.
Yeah. And it's great, isn't it? Just that sets us up and makes our brain understand just a bit of physical separation from it. And I love the idea of the commute as well and walking the dog. We are once Milo's a bit older, we are going to get a dog. We are going to do it. It's not quite the time yet, although I find I get really, when people talk about, like you talking about walking, I was like, oh, I'm just pining now for a doggy. But I love that, yeah, because that gets you out, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it gets you out of the house.
Yeah.
And it gets your mind just wandering.
Yeah.
And I call it wandering while you wander. It's like it gives your brain a bit of space. And then when you come back and it's like, right, okay, home life now.
Yeah.
Or in the morning, right, okay, work mode, let's do it.
Definitely. And that's part of the routine. And also fresh air. I'm such a massive believer in getting fresh air and doing some exercise in the morning. I mean, mine's only taking Milo to nursery or Aurora, my daughter, to school. But just having that walk, having that quiet time, being out in nature, out in the elements, just gives you a bit of space and a bit of fresh air, deep breaths, and then, right, I'm set for the day now.
Yeah.
And I think, wind down at the end of the day is a lovely thing to do as well.
Yeah. And I always think that most of the solutions to WorkJoy, most of them, not for everyone, depends on how serious your work gloom is or whether you've already got some joy, is that it is a combination of lots of simple things that you can do. And things like getting outside is one of them. And that, just even a 10-minute walk around the block does it. If you're in an office, take 10 minutes at lunchtime and go and walk around the office. And you'll be amazed how differently it makes you feel.
Absolutely.
About life.
Yeah, completely agree. When I used to work in an office, I was in Woking, and I remember there was the wooded area, just a 5-minute drive from there. And I would do that, and I would just drive and park up and just walk around in the woods. And generally, I love to just look up. And just, if you just look up and you look up at whatever's above you, because we don't do it a lot, do we? We're so busy in the moment and looking around us or ahead and forwards and trying not to bump into people, whatever you're doing. Just stop and just look up and look at whatever's above you, be it the trees, be it the clouds, be it the sky, I don't know, whatever you can see. And I find it puts everything, like being by the seaside, it just puts everything in perspective and makes you realise how very small we are on this huge planet, and how small we are compared to Mother Nature as well. And I always find, for me, that doing that exercise, anything that's in your head when you've got a shit stuff, sorry, I swear I couldn't help it, shit still going on in your head, just doing that puts things in perspective and makes you realise that actually no problem is that great.
Yeah. And I think that perspective thing, the other day, when we're recording this in the summer, by the way, it's coming out in the autumn, but we're recording it in the middle of the heat wave. It's been
hot.
Boiling. It's hot, and it has been hot for weeks. And the other day it had been so hot all day. It was one of like the 37-degree days or something ridiculous like that. And eventually, like late at night, it had got a bit cooler, and I went outside and I just lied down in the garden. I just looked up at the stars and sat there for like 20 minutes, and I was like, I just feel amazing. And it's because I felt really small.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to another podcast, because obviously I like listening to them as well as doing them. And it was with Brené Brown, who is one of my like all-time heroes. Like I've got a proper talent crush on Brené Brown.
Oh,
I love
she's
her.
amazing.
And she was with another one of my talent crushes, which is Brett Goldstein, who's Roy Kent in Ted Lasso, who I love to bits. And his podcast is amazing as well. And he was talking about when he feels like a bit too egoish or something like this. I can't remember exactly the context. He said he goes and gets in the sea. Like he'll go to the sea and get in the sea and feel small compared to the world. And I'm like, yes, that is the thing that we need to do. Yeah. And actually, we're so busy, aren't we? Busy, looking at a screen, looking at your phone. You'll be feeding the kids. I'll be walking the dog. We're doing all this stuff. And it's like, actually, just stop for a minute and look at the world and nature and all around you. I have the same thing if I go and walk in the woods. Sometimes just stand there and like let the trees take over.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
It is absolutely amazing. What really got me doing that with the looking up was when I had my baby last year, and he was sort of, obviously he was laying down in the pram, and he would get really excited when we go under the trees. And that was when I did it. I just stopped and I thought, oh, how does the world look for him? And I stopped and looked up and went, wow, if you can do it. If you can do it safely, walking along, looking at the trees going over your head is amazing. It's a really, really cool thing to do. It is. Again, it's perception, isn't it? Perspective, different perspective.
Yeah. And I definitely wouldn't be able to do the walking along while looking at the trees.
No, I'm sort of saying it and now I'm picturing doing it and thinking, no, this is probably not wise advice.
I would definitely fall over, but stopping occasionally and having a little look up.
Yeah, do that. Let's do that instead.
Just thinking, for health and safety reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Don't try.
Don't try that. Don't try this at home, kids. Love it. Okay, and then so you have left your corporate job.
Yeah.
You've been building this amazing entertainment business.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
Which is brilliant, and I'm so excited to in the future have more. Maybe in our little book launch party, which is coming in January.
Hello.
Hello.
Really?
So we'll be there.
What was
So you're there. You've done this, and then you have this experience of lockdown, which.
Yeah.
I just like my heart goes out to you and anyone who worked in hospitality or entertainment, or the industry just shut down.
Oh, it's bonkers.
And
surreal.
So first of all, I can't imagine how that feels when you have spent, 12 years or 15 years building this thing and then it just stops. Tell me a little bit about how you handled that and didn't just get stuck in
Yeah, so I'm a massive believer that everything happens for a reason, and I'm a big hippie, love the universe, and whatever you want, throw it out to the universe, ask your genie or whatever you want up there, ask the universe, and it'll be yours. So yeah, we were going great guns. Everything 2019 was the busiest year. It was all fantastic. We had because it's a vintage trio that the 40s and 50s that I started with the polka dots. Got more now, but that's the biggest one. We had VE Day, the 75th anniversary of VE Day coming up in May 2020. So we had like 14 gigs out that weekend. We were absolutely taking on more girls. I trained them up. So we had different lineups. And then within a week, everything got cancelled, absolutely everything. And so it was literally like the rug was pulled out from underneath us. And so I was a bit shell-shocked, just not really sure what was happening for a week or so. And then... yeah, a couple of things happened. So, let's say for a week or so, a bit shell-shocked, and then we were doing the homeschooling and everything. And I think the first couple of weeks went by in a bit of a haze of gin and tonics in the afternoon, actually. And then it was gorgeous weather as well, then, wasn't it? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was like unusually gorgeous.
Yeah, and I was like, that's Mother Nature just letting us all shut off. I saw the positives to it because lots of people that I spoke to just said this was the stop that we needed. Something major to happen to make us actually stop and take stock. Yeah. Anyway, so it was a bit shell-shocked for a couple of weeks. And then I spoke to the acts that I work with and said, right, we've got two choices here. Either we can sit and do nothing and just let this happen, or we can all hate this overused word now, but at the time it wasn't. Let's all pivot.
It is a bit now. It's like, ooh.
Oh, I'm shuddering as I said, but let's all adapt. And if people are going to be working online, if people are going to be doing Zooms, let's adapt our shows to be able to do virtual events. And it was the best thing that we did because we were so lucky that many of us were still able to work, still able to do virtual events. And actually lots of companies have continued to do that in hybrid events. And there were benefits, certainly in the events industry, of having Zoom and virtual events, because whereas before there'd be big conferences, global organizations, big conferences, flying people in from all over the world, adding to carbon footprints and the expense of it, etc., doing hybrid or virtual events meant that people in the world could log in wherever they were from the comfort of their own home. So that was, still have entertainment, and that was a big bonus. I'm really glad that we did that. What also happened within a couple of weeks of lockdown, which goes back to closing the loop on the old story about the company name, was I was Elle Entertainment previously, and I'd rebranded in 2018. It was, so it wasn't long before lockdown, and a couple of weeks into lockdown, I had a letter from France. I was like, oh, who's this from? And opened it up. It's Elle Magazine's lawyers, saying that I was in breach of their trademark and I wasn't allowed to use the word Elle in my name. So I spoke to the Federation of Small Businesses. They're like, this can't be happening. Elle is a French word. How is this? And they're like, yeah, you haven't got a leg to stand on. They're a big company. You can't just change your name. So I thought, okay, so it's been sent to me for a reason. This is going to be for the greater good, I'm sure. But of course, no money coming in. How was I supposed to afford a rebrand? That was the last thing that I wanted to do. But I had the time to do it. And there was much toing and froing. I handled it myself because I didn't want to, expense or trouble of getting solicitors involved on my end either. And so there was a lot of toing and froing over the next few months. But eventually they allowed me to have the name Elevate. And I remember them saying to me, why don't you just change the name to Ella Entertainment? Like, well, if I wanted my name in my company, I would have done that to begin with. But anyway, in the end, we got to Elevate. So then I rebranded, and that was that. And yeah, it's been great. I was worrying about what people would think. Would it make me look flaky for changing my name? But I've just been really open about it and said to everybody that, you know, what happened. So that happened, and that kept me busy for a while as well in the beginning of lockdown. But yeah, that was that. And then, of course, on a personal side, we were still trying for another baby. And then when we had the loss, and then when I joined Time to Thrive with Reed Robbins NLP, and then did my training with them, that was amazing, because personally, I went through such a period of change doing all of that, and just taking steps towards being the person that I want to be, being the mum that I want to be, being the business owner that I want to be, being the friend that I want to be.
Yeah.
So actually, I look back at lockdown really grateful for so much positive that I got from it, personally. And then I had conversations with friends, loads of conversations with friends that have been busy, said, yeah, we're never going to get back to that pace of life again. We're never going to rush around at 100 miles an hour. We're really going to, you know, take on board what this time has given us. And of course, now we're all back rushing around 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely positives from it. And for me, the biggest one as well, of course, was having that time to stop, discovering NLP, and having our baby.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's amazing, isn't it? How, you know, I'm also a believer that, you know, everything does happen for a reason, but sometimes it's really hard to see that going forwards. It's really easy to look at it going backwards, isn't it? And go, oh yeah, that's why that happened. But when you're in amongst it, that's a really hard thing to do. And you know, my heart goes out to you with, you know, your experience of loss, of your babies, and kind of working through that horrible time, but then finding through lockdown this thing that you probably, like, if I'd have said to you 4 years ago, as well as your business, which has changed names because a magazine in France apparently owns the word, which just, I mean, I don't understand all of these laws and things like that. It's not my
not my
expertise at all. But I mean, but I also love the name Elevate Entertainment. I think it's lovely.
Me too.
It's kind of, you elevate the event, right? It kind of
exactly that. And
it's
again,
got such a great vibe to it now. It's obviously the right thing for the right, maybe for a difficult reason, but the right thing that happened.
You're right. And the elevate bit of it, like raising your event to the highest level, I feel just kind of lifted it anyway. I mean, I kept the branding pretty much the same and just changed the name and the strapline, but it just feels more in line now with me and what I'm about. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think when you get to the ripe old age that we are, and as you get older, you go through enough challenging times to learn to be able to trust in the process, don't you? That when stuff happens, and like, oh God, why is this happening? Why? To know that you're going to take lessons from it, and at some point you'll look back and go, oh, that's why that happened. Because you wouldn't be able to be at this point if you hadn't have gone through that.
And now, so tell me more about the coaching side of your business. So we've talked about Elevate and all the amazing things and how that came to being. And obviously you went through a really deeply personal experience and transition and change of thinking, and have your lovely baby. And well, he's probably he's a toddler now, isn't he?
I know, he's like 14 months.
And you know, something, it sounds like a real profound change in you and how you approach things. And now you've added this as something that you're going to help other people with. So tell us a bit about that journey from having a deeply personal experience with it to then going, hang on a minute, I really want to help people and use this as and set up another business with it.
And with the coaching, it's really funny. Whilst you're asking about it, the emotions that I'm feeling talking about it now, because up until recently, I was always very much, I've just got to get it done, got to get it done. Whereas actually, I feel a lot more relaxed about it, and I think it will happen at the right time. The events business is really, really busy. I would love to be full on with both, but I've got to be fair to my family as well as my business. And I've learned so much about being a better mum that I won't get this time back with my kids. So I'm making the decision that I'm focusing at the moment on the entertainment side of it. The coaching I'm working on in the background,
Yeah.
because that's what fits in my life. Part of me, and I feel torn, is that part of me just wants to go out and help everybody right now, or just let's help everybody. Everybody that's having any problems, it's going to help them. But I now, having changed my values, know that actually my family is the most important, and they need me and my time. So I'm doing the coaching in the background, and when the right time comes, then I will be able to immerse more energy into it. And the coaching side of it is, at the moment, I'm still swaying with where my niche is going to be, because on it, I've got kind of two elements to it. One side is the corporate and helping people like break through, and this is the majority of people that I've worked with up until this point on the coaching side have been people like us, and have been women, and they're juggling lots of things, and they run their own business, or they've got really good positions in corporate roles, and yeah, I've worked with them, and what I really, really love is like getting down and dirty and getting really breakthrough, really like bashing through beliefs or unhelpful anything that's limiting people that has been installed like right at a young age. So let's get right back there. Let's blast that out and really change your life, and help you, achieve everything you want to do. And I love that, and drawing on whiteboards and all of that, and really getting all of it. And on the other side of it, I would love to work with couples who have been through a similar journey to us, or who are just finding it challenging to fulfill their dream of having a family. And so part of me as well really wants to work with these couples and help them on the roller coaster, like the emotional roller coaster of when you're planning a family. Because I remember somebody once said to me, it was so profound: once you decide to start planning a family, you're no longer in control. And it's really hard to take, because people like us, we're like, oh, if we want something, we just go and get it. We work for it.
I'm a business person. I can go and make this happen. Let me have a project plan.
Yes. So, but the family planning thing is the one project that you're completely out of control of. You've got no control over what happens, when it happens. And that's really hard to get your mind in that. And so all kinds of emotional stuff come, especially if it doesn't happen straight away. God, am I a failure? What's wrong with me? So all kinds of emotional stuff that comes up, I think. And there's all kinds of different journeys that people go on through it not happening, through having miscarriages, IVF, adoption, all sorts of ways that pathways that people go on to get to where they want to be with having a family. So I'd really love to work with couples on that as well. So at the moment, coaching wise, I'm sort of just taking whoever comes to me and helping them with whatever they've got. And I'm still in the background working out exactly what I want to do, because I want to make sure that I get it right. And the corporate side of it and the family planning are obviously very different as well.
Yeah.
So I'm chilling, knowing that at the right time this will all pan out and it'll be the right thing. So I think as well, with my background, I'm used to performing, I'm used to being on stage, and I'm used to doing things to audiences. Whereas with the one-to-one or one-to-two coaching, it's a really sacred, calm space. And I get something from both of them. So I probably need to do some work on myself, actually, to work out exactly what I want. But either way, it's going to be awesome. And I'm really, really excited about what the future holds in the coaching, because I know that I'm going to go on and do it. I think that it's likely what will happen with the entertainment side of it is that this is the first proper year back after all the lockdown. So things have gone crazy, that I'm reacting to all that this year, and next year I'll get a plan in place to get somebody to help run it on a day-to-day basis, so I can step back a bit and then put more energy into the coaching side of it. So yeah, that's the plan, Stan.
Oh, it's so exciting. And I the thing that really comes to me from that bit of the conversation is around that it's okay not to do everything right now.
Yeah.
And I probably struggle in the same way that you do. Like I'm a real drawn to action person.
Yeah.
So I sit here and there are on my wall right now There's another 2 books I want to write, and there's another 3 courses I want to put together, and there's a whole new other thing. There's all this stuff that I want to do. And
Amazing stuff, yeah.
I think one of the things that happened for me over the lockdown experience, I'm also very grateful for some of the things that happened during that time, is I kind of learned it's okay not to do it all now.
Yeah.
And I have never been that person before.
No.
And I find it slightly uncomfortable even saying that. Like, I could feel my reaction to kind of saying you don't have to do it all now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that idea that, you can have everything you want. And I do believe that you can have everything you want, or you can have anything you want, but you can't necessarily have it all right now.
Yeah.
And maybe that it's you'll understand this because I know that you also think in musicals. So I think in musicals, and everything comes back to a musical.
Yeah.
There's in Hamilton, Aaron Burr sings this song about he's not waiting, he's lying in wait.
Yes.
And I'm always like, for things, am I procrastinating? Am I waiting for something? Or am I lying in wait for the right moment in time? And whenever I get myself into that, you should be doing something on this other thing, I'm like, no, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. You've got it in the plan. You don't have to do it this year. This year is about this. Next year could be about this. The following year, it's like you don't have to do all that. And it feels wildly uncomfortable.
It's weird, isn't it? I exactly the same. And like you, I'm always kind of go, let's do it now. There's 2 things I also discovered. A friend of mine who helped me with marketing is a numerologist, and that is like a whole other whoa. I mean, it might be hippie for some people. I absolutely love it. It's helped me learn about there's right times to do things depending on who you are. But exactly the same, like you was just saying, when I say, and even when I just said to you then, I know there's a right time for everything and I'm chill about it, I have a little internal conversation and check in myself. Ella, was that you just said that? Are you sure? Is that genuinely how you feel? I go, yeah, I actually do. And it's weird. It's like, oh, who am I?
It's like, who is this person? But I wonder if that's partly the benefit of having some time to think and some space, partly the benefit of age and understanding that times will come. And, also that, the idea that you're, at the moment, the coaching is for the people who are coming to you, people who are drawn to you, people who need you. And, maybe it doesn't need loads of marketing yet. Maybe at some point it will do. Maybe you'll be able to do that. And yeah, I truly believe that it will come and it will be the right thing at the time. But the inner part of me just wants to go and get it all done now.
Well, of course you do, of course. But to be able to do everything to the best of your ability, it will be the right time. The one thing that I always, when I'm having a bit of a stress about, I should be doing this though, I shouldn't, like you were saying the other day, you lay down with the dog instead of doing something you thought you should be doing, but actually that time, what you got from cuddling your dog gave you so much, didn't it? And your doggy as well. Both of you just had that gorgeous moment connection and relaxation, and what you needed to charge you up to do the next thing. And in any given moment, we have to remember we're exactly where we should be right now. In this moment, just exactly where we should be. And I always find that every time I say it to myself, I go, okay, we're good. We're good. We're all good.
It's been so fascinating to talk to you. I could honestly talk to you for another few hours.
We'll chat
for ages. I'm not sure everyone would want to listen to us for another few hours because we would probably start singing and do all kinds of...
it would be great.
It would be great for people who are into that kind of thing. For everyone else, there might be, you've gone a bit off piste here now, Beth. Why are we singing Hamilton from beginning to end? Anyway, I have got some quick fire questions for you. Are you ready?
I am ready as I'll ever be.
Question number 1 is, what is always guaranteed to bring you a little bit of work joy?
Oh, having conversations like this, definitely. Having conversations with clients, with awesome people, that absolutely brings me work joy, because every time I do, I think, bloody hell, this is work.
I know.
What? Yeah, connection. I think that's it. Connection with other people.
Yeah. And it's really interesting that when we talk about connection and how important that is and how much joy it brings us, is when we look at the opposite side of it, a lack of connection is often what brings challenges with mental health. It's what brings things like addiction. It's what, and that connection, I think, is one of the things that a lot of people lost during lockdown in the
Well,
same
yeah,
way. And now we're in the zone of reconnecting and kind of understanding the joy that's within that, in person and online. And yeah,
exactly.
totally,
We're
totally love it.
tribal creatures, and we need love and belonging. And if we
Yeah,
don't have love and belonging, we're not part of a tribe, then we're isolated,
yeah. And
and
that's
that's
not good.
awful. No,
Yeah.
awful place to be.
Horrible feeling.
Yeah.
Horrible feeling.
Yeah.
Question two.
Hmm.
What book are you currently reading? You can either be reading, listening to, or if there's a podcast, etc. What's in your kind of learning zone at the moment?
Right. So I have just read The Miracle Morning. Have you read it,
Okay.
Elrod?
I have not.
Ah,
I've heard of it.
so Miracle Morning is brilliant. He's a really inspirational guy, and The Miracle Morning is about things that you should do. I think it's 10 things you should do before you get going in the morning. And I remember starting to read it, and he was talking about setting his alarm at kind of 4:35 a.m. in the morning. I was thinking, oh my God, I could never do this. And all these unhelpful emotions are coming out. Like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to read the book. No, it's crap. I'm not definitely not. Read, of course, which is all my own stuff. And but reading it is so amazing. Just simply, things like when you when you press the snooze button on your alarm, you're going to fall back into a deeper sleep because you go back into a deeper trance, so you're going to feel worse when you wake up. So actually it's a really counterproductive thing to do. Or just getting up, when you get up, go and brush your teeth, because that's the first thing. Go and brush your teeth, because that wakes you up. Do some exercise, journal, do some affirmations even. It takes like 10 minutes to do, in no time at all. But just this new routine in the morning fires you up to feel good about the day ahead. So I would
Yeah.
thoroughly recommend that it's not a big book to read. I thoroughly recommend everyone grab a pencil and grab a copy of The Miracle Morning.
Yeah. I definitely know that it's true, all that stuff, like the getting up early, because when I do it, I feel amazing for the rest of the day. But I love my snooze button.
Yeah.
And it is honestly the worst thing. And I'm like, snooze, snooze. And I'm like, stop it, because you
Yeah.
always feel worse after it. But in the
Yeah.
moment, I just want to like 10 minutes extra sleep. So it's good advice, and I need to
It
get
is,
on
and
it.
it's a scary prospect for someone to start reading a book or whatever, and someone to say, right, you're not going to use the snooze button anymore.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
It's like I don't like it, even though I know it's true. I
Yeah,
don't like
yeah,
it.
I don't like it. Yeah, but yeah, reading the book is it's a great. I find it really really fab book to read.
Brilliant. Thank you for the recommendation. It's going on my to buy list.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best or most useful bit of advice that someone has given you in your life that you always find yourself coming back to?
Oh, I think that's what I said a little bit earlier on, that you're exactly where you need to be right now. I
Yeah.
find that just the most calming mantra, really, whenever I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed, or like I'm not achieving enough. Everything will come in its own time, and I've learned, it's
Yeah.
proved that time and time again in my life.
Yeah. And again, it's that thing you can't necessarily see it in the moment,
No.
but when you look back, it will be the
Yeah.
right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. Right. What is one super practical bit of advice to our listeners, that's something that they could go and do now, do tomorrow, do the next day, that you think would help bring them a little bit of work joy?
Oh, a little bit WorkJoy. I think we've covered so much. For me, I think, well, the WorkJoy, two things. If you work for yourself, work with people you want to work with. Don't be afraid. And I've had to do this recently, actually. But don't be afraid to sack off, for want of a better word, people that don't bring you joy,
Yeah.
because we work a lot of the time, and it's important that we're happy in what we do. So yeah, if something doesn't bring you joy, don't be afraid to let it go.
Yeah.
Trust in the process. But also from a day-to-day basis, I think what we talked about earlier is get outside.
Yeah.
Just every day, just get some fresh air. But it's so easy when you're busy to think, oh, I haven't got time. I haven't got time to get out. I haven't got time to take a break. But even 10 minutes, like you say, just walking outside, going in the elements, look up,
Yeah.
see
Look
what's
up.
above you. And that really makes such a huge difference, I think, to me in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, for sure. And that advice about, and I once thought about this, and I have to go through it in my head around, like, are you working with people who bring you joy? Part of the reason for running your own business is that you can choose who you work with. And I think a scarcity mindset tells us, oh no, but we have to work with anyone who wants to work with us, etc., etc., etc.
Yes.
But actually, if you're working with people who don't bring you joy, there's no space to bring in the people who do.
Exactly that. Exactly.
You have
Like
to
you were saying.
create the space for it.
Yeah. The scarcity mindset, flip it to an abundant mindset. Exactly like you say, just reframe that. Well, if I get rid of this person that's using up my time and energy, I'm making room for someone more awesome to come in.
Yeah, exactly. And the joy, and you don't, all the unexpected wonderfulness of things
Yeah.
that can happen that you have never thought about before. Right, final question for you, Ella, and that is, where can people find out more about you and your business and everything that you're up to?
Oh, come and follow me on LinkedIn. So, connect with me on LinkedIn. At the moment, I'm not great. I'm not spending as much time as I want to. I loved LinkedIn during lockdown and connecting with people. I am going to be better getting back on LinkedIn. But yeah, my website is elevateentertainment.co.uk. That's elevate with 2 L's. Or come and find me on LinkedIn at Ella-Louise Woodhouse.
Brilliant. And we'll put those links into the show notes as well so that people can just click through. Thank you so much for such a fun conversation. And yeah, I will speak to you soon.
All right, my darling. Take care. Lots of love, everyone. Bye.
I really hope you enjoyed that episode with Ella-Louise Woodhouse. There are so many little things and nuggets that I'm taking from our conversation, but there are a few that I'm going to pick out as the ones that I'm going to really think about. And the first is around values and what's driving our decisions. And I really, really reflected on Ella's point about she thought she was striving for success, but actually she was running away from the fear of failure. And how that could really drive the actions that we don't want, and how our values and behaviours then might not actually align. And I think it's a really important one to think about what's important to us, to think about our values, and then to think about how do they play out in real life, and are they playing out in the way that you want them to? And if not, there's always something that you can do about that. I also really love this idea of just making sure wherever you are, when things feel hard, to get that perspective, and those simple things like getting outside, get some fresh air, take a few deep breaths and look up at the trees, look up at the sky, make yourself remember that, you know, there's a big universe out there, there's lots of stuff going on, and the advice that you're exactly where you need to be right now. You might not be able to see it going forward, but in reverse, when you look back, you'll be able to put the pieces together and understand why you are where you're at. And I think also that idea that you can, wherever you are, through the hard times, through the great times, always be thinking about what are the lessons that you're learning through that, and having that really curious mindset to understand what the lessons are, and to be able to help yourself and help the people around you with those things in the future. So a huge thank you to Ella for coming on and being my podcast guest on this episode. We do have lots of episodes available for you. If you've never heard them before, do go and check them out on your favourite podcast app. I always think of it as a bit of a pick and mix. Pick the ones that appeal to you and see where you go from there. Do make sure you follow us on @CreateWorkJoy across all the socials. And remember that we have Club WorkJoy available, a wonderful community of people. We have keynote speakers. We have regular connection coaching as a group sessions, and all kinds of wonderful things in that group. And we also have the WorkJoy Way coaching program. If you want to get deep inside your own understanding of your own WorkJoy and be able to, over 16 weeks, really, really build and cultivate a more joyful working life, do come and chat to me about it. You can always email me, hello@createworkjoy.com. I'll be happy to set up a chat with you. And we also have our free WorkJoy, where do you get yours experiment that you can download from the website. So do go and check that out if you're looking for some ways to improve your working life. Thank you all for listening, and I hope to speak to you again soon.